Hello everyone, welcome back to one more video session. In this session, we are going to talk about sickle cell anemia. It is the first autosomal linked recessive trait disorder. I write here autosomal linked recessive trait disorder. Remember it, very important. Like in our NCERT book, there are 4 examples given for this. The first one is sickle cell anemia, a very important concept for your NEET as well as for board examination. Listen to me carefully. It's very easy. The thing is, we all know that the shape of the RBC. First, I write the shape of the RBC. The RBC is kind of biconcave structure. It's like this. Why it is biconcave? The reason is very simple. In a normal condition, the RBC can roll and it can easily sneak between the capillaries. During any time, like if I need more oxygen, also like RBC can sneak, or they can flow within the blood and reach any tiny capillaries. We all know that from the heart a big pipe arises, that is the arteries, the bigger pipe or wider pipe. As it moves further, they form networks. In the networks you see tiny capillaries. Here what you see is the pipe, the width actually reduces, which can cause certain stress. But because of the shape of the RBC, which is like biconcave shape, nothing will happen to it. These RBCs carry oxygen and ultimately they reach the tissues, where tissues get oxygen. This is what we know. And what I want to tell you is the RBC is non-nucleated. It doesn't have any nucleus because it has to give space for a protein called as hemoglobin. Okay, the pink colored one is the hemoglobin. I write HB. Hemoglobin structure. If you look into the structure of the hemoglobin, for example, I will just write the structure of the hemoglobin. Okay, hemoglobin is mainly made up of 4 subunits. What are they? And what you could see is the one subunit, which is the alpha chain. It is also called as alpha globin chain, and other one is the alpha globin chain. That means in one hemoglobin you see 2 alpha globin chain, and another one is the beta globin chain, and again one more chain is beta globin chain. Here what we see is total 4 chains, 2 alpha chains, 2 beta chains makes one hemoglobin. Each chain, the alpha chain, can bind to one oxygen molecule, so one hemoglobin can carry 4 oxygen molecules, and ultimately one RBC can carry 4 oxygen molecules. So this is the thing. Okay. Now to carry the oxygen by the hemoglobin, it requires a proper shape. If something happens to the chain or structure of any chain, obviously it's going to be abnormal. It looks a bit weird in shape, and obviously it cannot carry oxygen. That is nothing but sickle cell anemia. We see there is a chromosome. Let me just tell you, because if you look into the chain, alpha or beta chain, whatever it is, normally they are synthesized by a particular type of genes, because the beta chain is or alpha chain is nothing but a polypeptide chain. The polypeptide chain means we know that many different types of amino acids which are linked together like this ultimately makes a polypeptide chain. So we write polypeptide chain. Correct? This is one amino acid, this is another type of amino acid, like this. Each amino acid is linked by peptide linkage, and ultimately a polypeptide chain is produced. So we can compare this polypeptide chain to beta chain or alpha chain, doesn't matter. But when you look into the sequence of the amino acid, the alpha chain varies from beta chain. This is very important to remember. Now what I am going to do is, which particular gene is responsible for the production of alpha chain and beta chain? What we do is we just draw a chromosome. So this is the chromosome, homologous chromosome, and this is the 11th chromosome. This is autosome, and we are going to draw one more chromosome, and this is the 16th chromosome. On the 11th chromosome there is a gene here, and on the same locus on another chromosome also you could see the same gene. The genes always occur in pairs. This gene, on the 11th chromosome, produces beta chain, that is polypeptide chain. That is the beta chain of the hemoglobin. We call it as beta globin chain. 11th chromosome. Okay, so 11th chromosome, a gene which produces beta chain for hemoglobin, and the alpha chain is produced from another type of gene which is present on the 16th chromosome. So this gene produces alpha chain. Remember this point, 16 alpha. Okay. Now, sickle cell anemia is mainly because of certain abnormality in the polypeptide chain of the beta chain. That means I am going to talk about the 11th chromosome gene. If gene is mutated, let us assume that mutation has occurred. Here the mutation has occurred. Out of two genes, one gene is now mutated and it's going to produce a polypeptide chain which is abnormal, not like this. Instead of that, maybe like if you look into the amino acid sequence, particularly for a beta chain, we will just write beta chain. If you see the structure of the beta chain is mainly consists of 7 amino acids, okay, which are linked by peptide bonds. The first one is the valine, and the second one is histidine. The third one is leucine, and the fourth one is thrombin, and the fifth one is proline, and the sixth one is glutamic acid, seventh one is also glutamic acid. If I just write the number 1 to 7, there are 7 amino acids which make up one beta globin chain. This is the beta chain. That means for the production of this beta chain, we need a proper working gene which should be present on the 11th chromosome. But unfortunately, mutation has occurred in one of the gene. Now it is heterozygous condition. What is the condition? HbA, HbS. So we use S for telling denoting that that particular gene is mutated. S in the sense sickle, A in the sense normal. That's it. Here, how do you remember this sequence of amino acid? Because you have to remember this for your NEET. It could be asked. You must remember what is the sequence. Simple. Van Haseley let the prohibited goods to go. Got it? So you can write like, okay, it's not necessary. Van Haseley let the prohibited goods go or to go, like that. Just remember that sequence, it will be very easy. But for our concept, we need to remember this. At the 6th position, so 6th is the amino acid, okay, it is at the 6th position of the beta globin chain. The amino acid is glutamic acid, but due to the mutation, the glutamic acid is replaced by another type of amino acid which is called as valine. See, the valine now replaces glutamic acid. As a result, it becomes abnormal. The shape now changes. As a result, it cannot carry oxygen. So, one thing to remember that this is now substitution mutation. Substitutions. Valine is now taking the position of glutamic acid. Very, very important. Remember this. It could be asked. So, what is the main reason for sickle cell anemia? The valine, which now replaces the glutamic acid, or valine substitutes glutamic acid in the beta globin chain of the amino, or maybe beta globin chain of the hemoglobin. This is the thing to remember. Got it? Now, what we're going to do is, I'm going to draw a 3D structure of the hemoglobin. So, this is, let us assume that the beta chain. Okay, if you look into the 3D structure, the beta chain comes above the alpha chain. So, this is another beta chain, and I'm using yellow color for the alpha chain. This is the alpha chain. They are all linked to one another like this. So, this is alpha, this is alpha. But now due to the mutation, one of the beta chain is now became abnormal. So, I am using white color to denote the abnormal beta chain because of the reason which is known, the gene mutation in the 11th chromosome. Correct? So, now if the alpha is proper, it can bind to one oxygen. This is also proper, this is also proper, but it cannot bind. That's it. What will happen? This leads in the change in the structure of the RBC, because within the RBC the hemoglobin is there. So now this hemoglobin is not perfect one because the beta globin chain is bit changed in structure, and as a result you see a structure like this. So this is the RBC. This RBC looks like sickle shaped. Hence it is called as sickle cell anemia. Now what is anemia? Anemia in the sense a loss of blood. So when a person actually has a very less quantity of blood, obviously he will suffer from oxygen stress, in the sense like he need more oxygen, but unfortunately the number of RBC, or maybe because of the abnormal shape of the RBC, it cannot carry more oxygen. But in this case, particularly in the sickle cell anemia, the RBC become like this, that is sickle shape. And as a result, when it goes into the small capillaries, they get stuck. They get stuck. That's what actually the thing. So because of this sickle shape, they get stuck within the small capillaries, and as a result, during the oxygen stress, for example, if I am suffering from sickle cell anemia, I am running and ultimately like I need more oxygen, you know the reason behind it, tissues require more oxygen. At the time the heartbeat increases, where the blood should be rushed into the capillaries or into the tissues, but at the time when they enter into smaller capillaries, they get stuck. They get stuck. And as a result, it may cause heart failure or heart attack, or it also causes kidney failure, liver failure, or it will impact my brain also. This is very important. So that is actually sickle cell anemia, the symptoms of sickle cell anemia. Remember it. Now what I am going to do is I'll erase this and just tell you what is exactly, like how exactly GNA mutation now causes the change in the beta globin chain structure. Sickle cell anemia is also a very good example for multiple allelism because it occurs in different forms. For example, the gene, maybe a gene is mutated. Let us assume that a normal gene which is situated on the 11th chromosome which produces a normal beta globin chain. It's a polypeptide. This particular gene can occur in multiple forms. What is that multiple form? The multiple form could be HBA, HBA. This is absolutely normal genes. Both are dominant and they are working absolutely fine. The second one is heterozygous. HBA, one normal gene, other one is sickle, that is gene is mutated. This is heterozygous, but the person will be absolutely normal because this dominant gene will take care of the function of producing beta globin chain. The third one is homozygous recessive condition where both the genes are mutated and they cannot produce beta globin chain, which causes oxygen stress. Obviously the person could die. It's very dangerous condition, sickle cell anemia. But normally in a resting position, obviously even though if a person is suffering from sickle cell anemia, he will not feel the oxygen stress, or maybe he will not feel a kind of like suffering, but only during any kind of exercise like running or doing a sports activity, at the time he feels he needs more oxygen, but at the time the RBC, because of its sickle shape, can get stuck within the capillary and cause the death. This is the condition, HPS, HPS, remember it. Now, the thing what I want to tell you is, as I said earlier, the sickle cell anemia is mainly because of the point mutation. So this is the normal DNA. This particular DNA, or maybe the gene, you can take it as gene is actually present within the 11th chromosome, and the function of this gene is to produce the beta globin chain, like that. Okay, so I'll write 11th chromosome, this gene. And see, you could count the total number of nitrogenous base pairs. Okay, so this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is the 16th one, this is the 17th base pair, this is the 18th one, this is 19, 20, 21. Please remember, you may get a question, how many nitrogenous base pairs are present in the gene which is responsible for the production of beta globin chain? How many are there? Total 21 are there. One thing to remember is, or learn is, each, or like the first three, or maybe like whatever it is, you see the nitrogenous bases here. The three nitrogenous base pairs are responsible for the production of one amino acid. Okay, so this first three will produce one amino acid, so let us assume that it is valine. And the next three will produce another amino acid which is called as histidine. The third will produce leucine, the next is thrombin, like that. Come to this one, this is actually the sixth one. So here the sixth amino acid is produced from a particular nitrogenous base pair sequence GAG. This is in normal person. And obviously we know CTC in the sense it is the complementary base pair. Now GAG acts like a coding sequence and it produces one mRNA. mRNA in the sense messenger ribonucleic acid, which is single stranded, not like DNA. DNA is double stranded. And again, here also you see nitrogenous base pairs. Here the mRNA should have only 21 nitrogenous bases, not base pairs, nitrogenous bases, because this mRNA is synthesized by 21 nitrogenous base pairs, or the DNA containing 21 nitrogenous base pairs. So we have 21 nitrogenous bases here. what is important is a process called as transcription. There is a process which is called as transcription. Transcription is the process of production of mRNA from the DNA. So, got it? That is transcription. And now this mRNA will enter into the ribosome and then they synthesize the amino acid. From this, amino acid is synthesized. That means this is now called as the codon. Codon. So each 3 nitrogenous bases are called as codon. So 3 codon, this is another codon like that. So total there will be around 7 codons are present within the one mRNA. These 7 codons will synthesize 7 amino acids. Very important. Okay. Anyhow, we are going to study in detail about transcription and translation in the next chapter, that is molecular basis of inheritance. Don't worry about it, but you need to learn this. So when you come to this mRNA, this GAG, okay, this GAG will be as it is. And whatever the sequence you read here, this is coding sequence, this is non-coding sequence. The coding sequence, whatever the sequences or nitrogenous bases are there, will be present here. But one thing to remember that whenever you come across with the thymine, it is replaced by uracil in mRNA. You know that thing, the nitrogenous bases, particularly thymine is replaced by uracil in mRNA. You know that is the basic. Okay. So here, this is now, when you come to the sixth codon, the codon, what you see is GAG is the nitrogenous base. This GAG now produces glutamic acid, and ultimately you see a chain like this. So sixth one is glutamic acid. This is normal. Let us assume that the mutation has taken place, and ultimately what you see is instead of A, it is replaced by T. This is point mutation. Instead of T, what we see is A. Okay. Now here, instead of A in mRNA, that is the sixth codon, you see GUG. Because T should have been A here, but this is mRNA, RNA particularly. Instead of that, uracil is there, GUG will be there. But this GUG will produce valine. It will not produce glutamic acid, it will produce valine. That's it. So this is mutation. And as a result, what you see is a valine which actually replaces glutamic acid at the 6th position of the polypeptide chain, that is beta globin chain. That's it. This is point mutation. As a result, the shape changes and it cannot carry oxygen. That's it. So this is all about sickle cell anemia. Very simple. You have to learn this particular diagram. Very important. The first one is for normal condition. The other one is for abnormal condition. This is actually the point mutation. You could see there is a change in single base pair. The DNA is mutated. The reason could be many. Now, for your need, if any question related to sickle cell anemia, particularly the problematic question is asked. For example, a sickle cell, like let us assume that the question could be like this: a normal man, we cannot determine the sex here. We cannot say man or woman because it occurs on autosome. If it is on the sex chromosome, obviously XX, we use XX, XY. But in this case we cannot. But let us say a individual with this kind of genotype, that is he is normal, marries another individual who is suffering from sickle cell anemia. It is understood. Suffering from or sickle cell anemia means HbS. It always occurs in homozygous recessive condition. So obviously, like you can take out the individuals will be safe. We get around 4 individuals. All 4 individuals are safe. Why? But they are the carriers. Correct? They are the carriers. Very, very important. And if HbA, HbS, that is the carriers, marry another carrier for sickle cell anemia, we get this. HbA is possible, HbA, HbS is possible, HbS is possible, HbS possible. So one thing to remember that 50% of the individuals or the offspring will suffer from sickle cell anemia when a person who is heterozygous for sickle cell anemia marries the same kind of individual of the opposite sex, and obviously you get 50% are normal, 50% are sickle cell person. Remember it. Hope you understood this particular session. Let us discuss about the other type of autosomal linked recessive trait in the other session.